So we just had some big news break in the MMA scene. Khalil Rountree is out in his bout versus Jamahal Hill at UFC 303 in the co-main event, and Carlos Ulberg takes his spot to face Jamahal Hill. So in a quick video today, I'm going to break down this matchup and give my prediction to my prediction for later down the line. Basically, all I'm doing is telling you how I feel about this matchup and predicting who I think will win. Obviously, I'll go more in depth once we get to fight week, but as of right now, I'm giving you my first initial thoughts on this matchup. Now, originally, we got this news that Khalil Rountree was going to be out in this matchup about a week ago. It was May 18th when the news broke, which is 6 days from now because today is going to be May 24th. Apparently, Rountree took a banned substance and then self-reported himself to the anti-doping UFC whatever guy, the main guy that does the anti-doping stuff nowadays in the UFC. There is no more USADA, so I can't say USADA anymore to make it simple. So the UFC anti-doping agency is the new phrase I have to use, which is a mouthful. I'd rather say USADA. It's a lot more simple to say, but again, Khalil Rountree did self-report himself, and he has been out of this matchup versus Jamahal Hill. Now, I already thought that this was a pretty dangerous matchup for Jamahal Hill, one that he could win. I was going to pick Jamahal Hill down the line when he did fight Khalil Rountree, so I was okay with him making this 4-month turnaround to fight Khalil Rountree. So I thought Rountree, he has power, but not enough power to really threaten Jamahal Hill, because let's be honest here, Khalil Rountree is a good fighter and he deserves to be in the rankings, but is Khalil Rountree the top dog matchup or a bad matchup for Jamahal Hill? I don't believe that. He lost to Marcin Prachnio forever ago, lost to Young Kutalaba forever ago, so there are some holes, and maybe Khalil Rountree isn't the most credited, skilled guy at light heavyweight that could really put a dangerous stamp on himself versus Jamahal Hill. So I was okay with Jamahal Hill making a fairly quick turnaround to fight Khalil Rountree because it was winnable for him. But now that he's fighting Carlos Ulberg, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling Carlos Ulberg here, but I felt a little bit delusional thinking that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just see what everybody else is saying. And it didn't look pretty. I do think a lot of people were kind of thinking that this is a bad stylistic matchup for Jamahal Hill, especially coming off of a KO 4 months ago. And one thing about Jamahal Hill is that he lacks a protective lead hand. That's why he got KO'd by Alex Pereira. For some reason, Jamahal Hill, who is a southpaw, loves to leave his lead hand down when he's throwing straight shots. When he's using his left hand in his southpaw style, he loves to drop that lead right hand, and it leaves his chin wide open. And that's exactly how Alex Pereira was able to find that KO left hook. That's why it looked so easy for Alex Pereira, because he knew that he could find that left hook against Jamahal Hill eventually somewhere down the fight, and he did in the first round. Now, I haven't done any research for this fight yet. I'm saving that for fight week. I'll definitely get more in depth in the future, but I have watched a plethora of Carlos Ulberg fights, and one thing that I know he does very well is that lead left hook. Ulberg primarily uses an orthodox stance, and he has KO'd several people using his lead left hook. Either it's fading back, that's how he got Ihor Potieria with it, or it's just using it as a weapon when he's coming forward. He knows how to counter shot very well. Jamahal Hill's a very pressure heavy fighter, while Carlos Ulberg does not mind being on the back foot and being patient and finding a shot. And he's also a former kickboxer, just like Alex Pereira. So these were my initial thoughts for this matchup. Carlos Ulberg, former kickboxer, has a great left hook, can be very patient. He kind of, I'm not going to say he is, but he is like another version of Alex Pereira. I would say he's not as big as Alex Pereira or as pressure heavy. He's more patient than Alex Pereira, but he has that kickboxing style that I think is a very bad matchup for Jamahal Hill. And I am worried for Jamahal Hill because, again, coming off of a KO 4 months ago is never a good look when you're fighting a guy who has a good left hook and is very patient. And Jamahal Hill, if you're watching this video, which you're probably not going to watch this, I'm a very small YouTube channel, but if somehow by the grace of God you hear my voice and other MMA YouTubers' voice, get your lead hand up, please. Because if you don't get your lead hand up for Carlos Ulberg, you might get KO'd. And I just don't want to see Jamahal Hill lose like that again. I like Jamahal Hill. I think he actually did a very good job hyping up his fight versus Alex Pereira at UFC 300. I think he was out there to actually make a point. I think he came out there with a good energy, even though it was like a bit of negative energy towards Alex Pereira. He sold that fight. He made it interesting. He made me hype for the fight. Now, obviously, their name value alone got me hyped for that fight. But I think Jamahal Hill went the extra step during the press conference and during all of his interviews to really make me more amped for that fight. And so I love his personality. I like him as a person. It just fucking blows to see him get KO'd, and I don't want to see a repeat of that. And I know Ulberg is not really a well-known name right now in the light heavyweight scene, but he's on his way to being that well-known name. He trains out of City Kickboxing, which is Israel Adesanya's gym. It's Volkanovski's gym where he used to train at for a little bit. Dan Hooker, obviously. But City Kickboxing is a really credentialed gym. Carlos Ulberg has one loss in the UFC in his debut against Kennedy Nzechukwu. Sorry, it's a hard name to say. But in that matchup, he was pretty much whooping on Nzechukwu before he gassed himself out from beating his ass too much and then got finished by Nzechukwu, which I think is not going to be the case versus Jamahal Hill. Nzechukwu just sits there with his guard up high and just tanks shots. I do not see Jamahal Hill having the Nzechukwu style whatsoever to beat Carlos Ulberg in that fashion. And since then, we've seen Carlos Ulberg just pretty much just tear apart anybody that he's faced in the UFC so far. So with regret, and I am unbiased in this, my first initial prediction for this, or my first initial thought, leans me towards picking Carlos Ulberg. I just think he's a bad matchup for Jamahal Hill, who's coming off a KO 4 months ago. It might be a bit too fast for him. Again, I didn't mind him fighting Khalil Rountree. I just don't view Rountree as big of a threat on the feet as Carlos Ulberg, even though Rountree is a threat. But I think Carlos Ulberg is a bit different of a threat than Khalil Rountree. Rountree's just more aggressive, and he's more like angry with the way he fights, while Carlos Ulberg is more patient and will actually take his time to find the correct shot. Again, I just can't say this enough. I think Carlos Ulberg is a really, really bad matchup for Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill, I hope you win. I wouldn't mind if you won. I like Carlos Ulberg as well, but I think I'm more of a Jamahal Hill fan than I am a Carlos Ulberg fan. So I am rooting for Jamahal Hill here, but I just don't know if he gets the job done versus a guy who's dangerous, former kickboxer, has a great left hook, very patient, and Carlos Ulberg. It's probably one of his worst matchups at light heavyweight right now. Like, if I'm being honest with you, I probably would take Jamahal Hill over everybody at light heavyweight who's ranked below him right now, besides Carlos Ulberg. Like, if Jamahal Hill fought Nikita Krylov, I'm probably taking Jamahal Hill. If Jamahal Hill fought Rakic, which is probably not going to line up correctly with the timetable because Rakic just lost by finish. But if he fought Rakic, I'm probably taking Jamahal Hill. If he fought Volkan Ozdemir, I'm taking Jamahal Hill. If he fought Anthony Smith, I'm taking Jamahal Hill. If he fought Johnny Walker in a rematch, I'm taking Jamahal Hill. Just pretty much everybody at lightweight right now, I would not mind Jamahal Hill fighting, besides obviously the champion and probably Yuri. But if he fought Yuri, I might take Jamahal Hill. But the one person I was pretty convinced that Jamahal Hill should not fight right now would be Carlos Ulberg. And you know what? He took that matchup. It is what it is, man. He's going to fight Carlos Ulberg. I'm probably going to take Ulberg to win that. It's disappointing, but I don't know. So that is my early prediction. It might change down the line. Once we get towards fight week, when I do some more research about this fight, I might change my pick towards Jamahal Hill. I see what I see in both of their fights. So when we get to it, we get to it. But as of right now, my first initial thought, I'm going to take Carlos Ulberg. If you agree or even disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. But that's pretty much it for this video. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon for notifications. I'll see y'all later. Peace.